I want you to take a moment and just think about the people that you see around you. And I think what you'll realize if you really think about it is that the majority of people around you, if they're doing anything at all to do with you, it is silently judging you. They don't come around and tell you about yourself, and they don't come around and tell you about themselves for the most part. They don't talk to you. They don't express their opinions. They do not speak their mind. That's the subject on today's Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Saturday, the 8th of January of 2022. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloutHub, and anywhere else you happen to be picking me up today. The subject for today is speaking their mind. And I'm going to go ahead and go through my notes really quickly to give you some idea what kind of drew me into this subject for today. After more than a year producing videos and placing them on an ever more diverse group, of platforms, I consider myself to be a mildly successful, some would legitimately argue that was too strong wording, content provider. Talking with one of my brothers, he pointed out that technically, though I have less than one Rumble per 2 video views, my numbers are not as bad as you might imagine, all considered. That said, as I stated recently, I am a very small fish in a gigantic sea. I'm a dot in the sea. I'm not really noticeable to most people. I've come to some conclusions, partly as a result of this journey doing the various videos that I've done, and partly from dealing with life in general. Allow me to state some of these revelations for you. I may be the exception rather than the rule, but these days I'm far more likely to hold my peace than to speak my mind. You might not believe that when you consider that I've got over 300 videos out there. I'll explain that maybe a little later if I remember. I have a feeling, particularly in the present environment, I'm far from alone in that. I'm not alone, right? Aside from the reality that is information overload, when I have opinions and ideas that are unpopular, I'm not excited with the idea of inciting riot by expressing my unpopular beliefs, strongly held or not. Now again, I'll say, I don't really have a great following, so the chances of my really inciting riot are extremely small, very small. But that said, I still don't want to get into that whole thing. I want to discuss things in a civil, peaceful manner as a rule. I know sometimes you just can't do that, and that's all there is to that, right? It's also been my experience that making a general expression rather than directly responding to folks is a better way to do things for a couple of pretty good reasons. The first is the individual I would be replying to doesn't account it an attack on their person. Instead, they see it as a general thought as a rule. The second would be I have time to think about what I'm going to say and potentially talk myself out of saying it, I might tell you. And I have done that more than a few times. It also lets me get to the root of whatever is being discussed. So I'm not addressing something more or less meaningless to me. The point of this video, though, is this. There are people out there who love what you do. When you put content out there, the number for me is probably quite small. I'll acknowledge. Maybe even none, I don't know. I can't tell you because I've never had anybody answer. That's part of the point. Others like it, but maybe not enough to continue on your journey. And maybe enough to do so, but maybe not. Though some might, right? As I've said. Still, more folks are indifferent. There will be those who don't like you. Finally, there will be those who pretty much hate, if not completely so, that is pretty much or completely so, what you do. Okay? One important takeaway, though, is love or hate you, or anything in between, many will never tell you how they feel. Rather, they'll sit in their little world and keep their opinions to themselves. I don't like that, by the way. I'd rather they speak up. And I'm not going to ridicule people as a rule when they do so. You can spend your time worrying about that reality or move on and do and say what you choose to count worth taking the time to put out there. Right? Whether it's in actions or in words is beside the point. Just remember, though, the chance is for me as much as anybody else. So I'm not just talking about other people out there. I'm kind of putting this out there as a general consideration. Most folks are probably on the downside. They either don't care, don't like me, or hate me, or at least what I have to say. Hate what I have to say, or don't like it, or whatever. I don't say that to discourage folks. You should do what you do. You shouldn't use this as a discouragement for that. Just as a point of reality. That's the entire reason I put it out there. Final thought. Most people will not speak their mind, and when they do, you may wish they hadn't. Okay, now obviously I want to get on with my open conversation. I want to point out that this is actually my third time doing my video today, a little bit of behind the curtain, and it's because various things have happened. One time I managed to get audio recording double, which is not a good thing. One time I didn't frame myself like I really wanted to, so I had to redo my framing. But anyway, here I am, and like I say, I'm going to say this again. You need to understand that there are a lot of people out there who will never, never, never speak their mind, and that there are other people who will do it in very reluctant ways, and that it's very easy to, if you're not careful, stop people from speaking their mind. And let me just tell you that I consider that to be a bad thing. I want to hear what other people have to say. I want to know what they're talking about and so forth. I want to get clear in my mind where I might be mistaken and where somebody else might have the right idea. I do not want to be that individual who spends his time acting like he's king stuff, however you want to interpret that. I don't want you to look at me, and I don't want to look at myself as a person who's not to be questioned. No. If you feel that there's something I'm doing or saying and you feel that it should be questioned, by all means do so. Interesting, we're getting a little bit of rain today, so it may be a little bit noisy. I hope that you can stand that. It's not horribly bad. I have a tin garage outside, or sheet metal garage outside, and it's making noise on that. But anyway, so my point is this. What I'm trying to say to you, what I'm trying to get across to you is real simple. One, I believe that you need to realize that what you put out there is often going to would draw criticism, would draw people who don't like it and so forth, but they're not going to speak their mind. So when you put content out there, I urge you to be careful to put content out there that you're going to look at 5 years from now and go, boy, I'm glad I put that out there, or at least I think that was a good thing to have put out there. I see a lot of people putting stuff out there where they don't worry about that. Well, you need to understand there are a ton of people out there who are not speaking their mind. Now, there are ways that you'll get the idea anyway. So, for example, they may tune into your podcast or whatever. They may look at the videos that you put on that social media platform or whatever it happens to be. So there are ways that you'll be able to tell that people do like what you're doing at times. Sometimes they'll maybe be yelling at you from the other side of the screen. That's entirely possible. I'm sure people do that to me at times. You dummy, right? When they're looking at my stuff, and I won't be surprised to hear that. But my point is to say this. There are a lot of people out there who will never speak their mind. And there are a couple of things that I think are reality. One is I hope that more people choose to take the time to do that when, for example, they look at my content. I really want for people to speak up. I want for them to tell me, is there something you'd rather I be discussing? Do you think that there's something more I could have said on something? I will do my best to listen, to pay attention, and to try and internalize, as I've said many times at the end of my videos, whatever it is that you say when you're looking at whatever it is that I've put out there. But I really want people to understand that the majority of people, look, if I get 100 video views, the chances that I'm going to get 1 or 2 or 5 rumbles on that video are kind of surprising. And that, look, I've seen people who get 5,000 video views and 300 rumbles. Or pluses or whatever, right? If it's on Rumble. And on other platforms, the same sort of thing applies. It doesn't mean people aren't paying attention. Sometimes they agree with you and they're just going along because they agree with you, but sometimes they're looking at you and saying, oh, he missed that, he didn't say that, or whatever. So you need to keep that in consideration. Okay, I need to go ahead and wrap up. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host, I'm Kurt, and today is Saturday, the 8th of January of 2022. In case I've said 2021, you'll have to forgive me earlier on in the podcast. Tomorrow then will be Sunday, the 9th of January of 2022. That would be the beginning of the Christian week. Obviously, Saturday, we've just finished the Sabbath, I guess, because sundown has just occurred or is just occurring. Thank you for everyone who's paid attention to my content on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloudHub, or maybe if you've seen me on Minds, that's minds.com. If you haven't, you can check out Minds, and like I say, there's a group that I like a lot. If you happen to be into autism, it is the Let's Talk Autism group, which I very much enjoy putting my content out on periodically. That's something that I do, and I'll also kind of look to see what other people have to say there. Today's subject has, but anyway, the point is that you can like or not like or Rumble or whatever my content on various platforms. You can also leave comments if comments are available, and I will see them hopefully if I place my content on a given platform. Subject for today has been speaking their mind. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the subject of legacy, which was brought on, the idea was brought on by that thing where somebody says something about the fact that they'll replace you within a month if you die at your workplace, but your family won't forget you. I have some more to say about that, and maybe it'll be a little surprising, particularly for people who've seen me or talked to me in past, who hear about what I have to say. I hope you're having a good day today. I hope everything is going well for you, and hopefully we will see you again on Sunday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Saturday, the 8th of January of 2022. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that, and you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.